Section 2.4, buy, rent, or lease. Here we're going to solve problems by analyzing renting, leasing, and buying options. Okay, so here's a couple things we're going to look at. You need a new pencil. Would you rent or buy? Probably you're going to buy because it's really cheap. You need a new computer. Would you rent or buy? Now this is something that could go either way. Most people would say buy, but if you didn't have the money, you might want to rent it. Or if you, it depends on the situation. If you were at university in your last year, you needed a new computer for your last semester for 4 months, you might just rent a computer and then buy one when you have a job. You need a new car. Would you rent or buy or lease or buy? Now, this is something that people do either. It depends what you can afford and what your values are. Maybe you want a really, really nice car and you can't afford it, so you're going to lease that car because you want a new car every 5 years. You need a place to live. Would you rent or buy? I think we all want to buy, but it depends. Are we staying in this place forever? Do we have enough money? So when you're looking at buy, rent, or lease, we're going to do the math to see which is the most financially viable option. But you have to realize with these things, there's things other than math that are going to influence you. Okay, so it's going to depend on your value systems and what's going on. Okay, so anytime in real life, there's the mathematical correct answer, and then there's what we're actually going to do. Okay, so keep that in mind. So we have Amanda. She's a civil engineer. She needs a vehicle for work and she works 12 days each month. She's been renting a vehicle when she needs it. The advantage is that she can simply fill the gas tank and then drop it off when she's done. The disadvantage is that she has to arrange for the rental, she has to make phone calls, pick up the vehicle, and then she needs someone to come pick her up when she's dropped it off. She's wondering if renting is the most economical choice and is considering her options. So here's a couple options. She could lease the vehicle. If you don't know what lease does in your textbook, it talks about here. Which requires a down payment of $4,000, lease payments of $380 per month, and then she still needs her insurance at $1,220 each year, repairs and some maintenance. She's averaging $50 each month. For the 4-year lease she's looking at, she would have no equity in the vehicle at the end of the term since the car belonged to the leasing company. So what this means is it says over here, the difference between the value of an item and the amount still owing can be thought of as the portion owned. So if you have a $25,000 down payment is made on a $230 home, you have this much owing and you only owe $2,500 and you only own $2,500 is the equity or the portion owned. So when you buy a car, you have equity because when you're done with it, you have a car that you could sell to someone else. When you lease a car, you have no equity. At the end of the day, the company takes it back. Okay, another option, she could buy the vehicle for $32,000, finance it with 4% interest compounded monthly. She had the same costs with the leasing, however, the equity of the vehicle would be considered an asset. She could continue to rent plus tax with unlimited kilometers. So the rent she would not have any of these insurance or maintenance fees. So we're going to see which option would you recommend and why. Okay, so I see right away this is probably going to be a financial calculator. This one was going to be some adding, and this last one we'll have to figure out as well. Okay, so all the strategies that we've learned before. So let's look at option one. Let's look at the leasing. Oops. Okay, so the term is 4 years. The down payment is $4,000. That's what it said right here. She would pay $4,000. Okay. The lease is $380 per month times 12 months, and she said 4 years. So $380 a month times 12 months in a year times 4 years is going to give us $18,240. Okay, the insurance was $1,220 a year. 4 years is going to give us $4,880, and repairs and maintenance for $50 a month. There's 12 months in the year for 4 years, so that's going to be a total of $2,400. Okay, so we're going to add all of these together, and that's going to give us our cost. So our cost is going to be $29.50. Okay, and she wanted to pay this monthly. Pay for repairs. She would need insurance. Yeah. So we want to know how much per month the cost is. She would pay all this. So 4 years, 12 months in a year, that's 48 months. So she would be paying $615 a month, okay? And we're assuming she has all this money, but it would work out to cost her $615. She hasn't financed it or anything. Okay, that's her lease. Well, her leasing, sorry, is like our financing. So $615 a month she'd be paying. Now we're going to look at buying. Okay, so buying, she had said that the purchase price was $32,800. Okay, the interest rate was 4.5% monthly, compounded monthly. Compound monthly. And then we would need to figure out the payments. So let's get our financial calculator out. Okay, and that financial calculator is back in chapter 1. We're going to find our financial calculator. Click on it. Okay, so the number of payments she's going to be paying monthly. So 4 years, that's 48 payments. The interest rate we said was 4.5%. Its present value is $32,800. Okay, so payment is what we don't know. We want the interest to be 0. We want the future value because she wants to pay it all off. It's monthly and monthly. Her payment frequency monthly, and it's compounding. So her payment is she's going to pay $747.95 a month. $747.95 a month. Okay, we still haven't taken into account her insurance and her repairs. Okay, so so we need another $50 a month plus $50 for her maintenance. Okay, remember that was $50 a month. And we have to take her insurance per month. So it's $1,220 per year divided by 12. $1,220 divided by 12. $1,220 divided by 12. Oops. I cannot use a calculator. So another 101.60. Okay, and we'll see how much that adds up to be. Plus $50. Oops. Plus $740. $795. So $899. Whoops. That's not what I wanted to do. $899.62. So that's how much per month. So already you can see between leasing and buying that it would be much more expensive to buy. However, at the end of those 4 years, she still has a car. At the end of the 4 years here, she doesn't have a car. Okay, and that last option was finally to lease, which was $4.99 per day plus tax with unlimited kilometers. So she uses it 12 days a month. So we just need to times $49.99. So this is rent. $49.99 times 12 to get how much per month it would cost her renting. $49.99 times 12. I forgot the decimals, but that's okay. We'll add the decimals in. So that'd be $599. And I think that was how many cents? And 88 cents. Okay, but then she still has to do gas. And I don't think they told us how much she spends on gas. Okay, so it seems like her cheapest is going to be renting. But the thing is, mathematically, renting's the cheapest. But think about it. If you only work 12 days a month, do you think those other days that you don't work, 30 days in a month, the other 18 days, you might want to use a car? Well, maybe. So maybe we would prefer leasing for another, $16 will get you able to lease, or $15, then you have a car all month. Or you might actually say, you know what, I can find another $200 and I could rent, or sorry, from 599 to 899. Could you find another $300 a month to actually own the car and after 4 years? So you're going to find the math, but in real life, you're going to actually look at this and say, what's your value system? Okay, is she working in Regina where she can take the bus, working and living in Regina, or is she working and living in Watrous or Imperial where without a car, what are you going to do for 18 days? Okay, so again, there's a mathematically correct answer, but then there's the idea that you might want to do something. You might actually look at your life and choose a different option. So keep that in mind. I'm not going to do example number 3, but example number 3 or example number 2 talks about depreciation, and they actually use a spreadsheet to solve it. So that's a good question to look at. We do have a sample spreadsheet on your we do have a spreadsheet right here and a spreadsheet right there. So spreadsheets are another way to solve problems, and they show that on example 2. The last thing I'm going to look at is, so just looking at your formulas and how to set up your formulas. Spreadsheets are another way to solve problems. Some key ideas when deciding whether to buy, each situation is unique. A cost-benefit analysis. Costs include fees, short-term costs, long-term costs, disposable income, cost of financing, depreciation, and appreciation. Again, look at example 2 to find that. Penalties and equity. Benefits include convenience, commitments, flexibility, personal needs or wants. Okay, and they said such as how often you want to buy a new car. So financially, we should all drive used cars, but personally, some of us like new cars. Not me, but other people. Since each situation is unique, it's almost impossible to generalize about whether renting, leasing, or buying is best. When renting, leasing, and buying, you often need to make payments up front. Some payments go towards the overall cost. Other deposits are refunded. Appreciation and depreciation affect the value of a piece of property and should be considered when making decisions about renting, buying, or leasing based on the particular situation. They are usually expressed as a rate per year. Equity can make buying a house a form of investment. So you guys should all be familiar with that. People buy houses for $120,000 and then they flip them for $200,000. So even though it costs a lot of money to buy versus rent, they're gaining equity. Their house is appreciating. Hasn't always been that way. In the past, houses have depreciated. But today, in our economy, buying a house is usually a good investment, depending on your community. Okay? So there's some questions for you to try. You're going to be using all of the skills. You're going to be using those financial calculators. You might have to use formulas that we know to solve these problems.